By the time I was 25 years old, I'd had 4 surgeries. Torn things, broken things, and had freak accidents that had no business happening. But the one that actually broke me wasn't the worst injury, it was just the loneliest one. Martin Seligman, one of the founders of positive psychology, spent years studying how people recover from acute hardship, and what he found was counterintuitive. The people who bounce back the fastest aren't the ones who reframe the pain immediately, they're the ones who resist making permanent meaning out of temporary hardships. This is hard right now is a survivable sentence. This is just who I am now is not. March 2020, I was fresh out of college and just moved to Washington, D.C. to start a new job. New city, no network, no insurance. I ended up breaking my shoulder in a freak accident, and before I could even figure out whether I needed surgery, the world was shutting down. I was sitting alone in a tiny room, I couldn't lift my arm, and I didn't know if I needed to fly back to California. The thing that broke me in that moment wasn't the physical pain, it was the uncertainty and the silence. Now luckily I was able to find a doctor in DC that was willing to operate on me, but the recovery was brutal. I had nothing to do but sit with myself, and for extended periods of time, the self is not great company. And I'll be honest, the thought that was creeping through my head at that time wasn't, I'm gonna get through this. Instead, it was, It was, is this just my life now? This makes me think of the story of Tiger Woods. He's had more than 15 surgeries and procedures over his career, but most people don't know the comeback story, and what gets talked about less is what happened in between. The years where he couldn't get out of bed without pain, where he publicly said he didn't know if he'd ever play again, where he was watching tournaments from his couch, wondering if the best version of himself was already behind him. In a 2019 interview after winning the Masters, he said that the hardest part of recovery wasn't the physical rehab, it was managing the identity of being someone who used to be that person. He had to stop eulogizing a version of himself that wasn't actually dead yet. The comeback wasn't the story. Learning to stop writing the ending early, that was the story. I didn't walk out of that room transformed by any means. I walked out with a partially healed shoulder and a head full of unprocessed thoughts, but something shifted in the quiet. Not dramatically, and not in a way I could articulate then. The room didn't give me answers, but it gave me the first real extended silence of my adult life. And a lot of what I'm building right now, this series, this channel, the way I think about creativity and identity, traces back to that tiny room in DC. If you're in a hard season, don't rush the quiet. Stop writing the ending. You're not done. Day 9 is coming. Follow so you don't miss it.